Back again with another episode of Millennials to Millionaires. I'm Alicia Ace West.
I'm Twee Estate.
Daniel King, aka King Sold.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about hustle smarter, not harder, because they say that the average person will work 90,000 hours. 1/3 of your life will be dedicated to what you're working on. And that's like if you do an average job, like a regular, like 9 to 5.
That's a lot.
1/3 of your life is going to be spent at your workplace.
Just like that.
I don't know about you. I've had plenty of like coworkers and environments that I just hated being in. So I personally don't want to waste that, and I want to be able to work smarter. So
You have to. So for me, whenever I deal with clients, I'm always like, you have to be able to leverage those around you, leverage individuals. My first property that I bought, like I mentioned earlier, I was able to leverage my sister and her great employment situation and her great income and her great credit. And that's how I was able to get my first property, right? You can't be afraid to lean on people, right? And also a lot of people are in employment situations where their employer will match their RSP contribution. So it's like, why not maximize those contributions and allow your employer to match it, so now you're yielding more money on your money. But we're not here to talk about stocks, because we don't know that much about stocks.
I'm not a professional.
That real estate is the vehicle.
Of course.
Real estate is the vehicle. There's so many different projects and properties that allow you to put money down incrementally with flexible deposit structures. So I always tell people that you can live off less. You can live off less. You don't really need to have all your money. I think it's a fear that people have, this like separation anxiety once they see their money leave. But when you're invested in real estate, your money is still there.
It's not like you're spending it.
It's still there. And that's what
it's just working for you.
It's working, right? It takes money to make money, right? Real estate is a tool, it's a vehicle that allow you to make money while you're sleeping, literally.
And that's a quote that everybody be talking about. Like, how are you making money while you sleep?
Yeah, what does Fab say? He's like, making money in my sleep. That's why my sheets feel nice. Right.
He got those 300 thread sheets.
But to be honest with you, I know quite a few millionaires, and there's not one of them that has ever told me that they've made $1 million or millions by saving or working and saving their way to $1 million. I don't think that's really a thing. I think that they're in those positions because of wise investments that they make, very, very key investments. And, they allow their money to work for them. And that's the difference between, people that work for money. 95% of the world, trade their time for money. But truthfully, the 5% that are the wealthiest in the world actually are able to let their money work for them, right? So even with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which we talked on in episode 1, there's what's called the cash flow quadrant.
Yeah, right? Break that down, because you be preaching about that.
Listen.
So what is it?
To be honest with you,
cash flow
you be like, you need to know this. You need to know this.
You have to, right? It's a box, and hopefully we can put it up on the screen for you. But this is what it is. There's a box. There's E, an S on the left side, a B, and an I on the right side. So you obviously want to know, what do those acronyms mean? On the left side of the quadrant, that's where 95% of the word falls. So you're either an employee or you're self-employed. So me starting off, first job at Sport Check, sold hardwood floors, sold cars, sold hot tubs. I was working for someone else, as the majority of the world is, right? When I opened my car dealership, I transitioned from being an employee to being self-employed, right? So I was still trading my time for money, though, because if I didn't work, if I didn't get out of my bed and go to the auction, I don't make any money.
That's where I'm at right now.
Right? So it's okay to be there. It's not okay to stay there. And that is why we're here today. And this is what we want to talk to you about. It's not about working harder, because I remember when I was, selling hardwood floors and I was working for a company called Lumber Liquidators, I worked my way up from the warehouse to sales associate, assistant manager, and I ended up actually running the store. And I was working 7 days a week, and I was working 14 to 16-hour days. And every month, no matter how much overtime I did, I would cap out at a certain number. That number was $3,750.46. And I'll never forget because I couldn't make any more than that. After the taxes came out of my check, that's how much money I could take home. And it was a little bit unmotivating because it's like I'm hitting my targets, I'm crushing the sales, and it's like I'm working so hard, but I'm not getting any more money.
Yeah.
So it's like, why am I working so hard for? Like, I'm just gonna, dial it back, save my energy, and I'll just give you just enough so that I can make that money, right? So the key is, it's okay to be on the left side of the quadrant, but the key is to shift your mindset from the left to the right side. So we talked about the left. On the right side, the B is for business owners. The I is for investors. So business owner, that means, you can own a franchise. Your brother owns, a few champagne boutiques and the barbershop and other things like that. So he understands, the importance of being a business owner. Now, your brother, he doesn't cut hair. I've never seen him cut hair. I wouldn't let him cut my hair.
No, he can cut though.
He can cut? Yeah. Okay. But
He's like, who you think cut my hair?
But I never seen him with the clippers in his hands, right? Because he's the boss, right? And he is the business owner. So even though he doesn't show up to work every day, even though he doesn't show up to the business or the champagne boutique or
he's
the
still
spot
working
every day,
he
gets
money.
residual income every day. The same way if you were to buy a McDonald's franchise, you don't necessarily need to be there, right? You put people in positions, you have a system that you're going to build, right? So the most important quadrant, in my opinion, is the I, and that's investing. That's, you can be working, you can still be an employee and you can be an investor. You can be in both of those quadrants. And hopefully, if you make wise investments, you don't need your job. You can actually make some key investments that, you have cash flow coming in for.
Your job could be your hobby.
It could be. You know what I mean? But a lot of people work to survive. And, when their alarm clock goes off in the morning, it's a dreadful feeling because they don't want to, right? I always said, like, even my mom, I'm like, listen, if you want to work, you can, but I want it to be a choice. I don't want you to work out of fear that we're not going to have food or we're not going to have a shelter or that, if we get sick that we can't buy medicine. I want you to work because you're bored, and it's a passion of yours, So, and that's key. So in terms of the I quadrant, it's being an investor, right? And what could you invest in? The best investment is real estate, right? So pre-construction, resale, whatever you want to do, the key is whatever you're making in either of those quadrants to invest and allow your money to work for you so that while you are sleeping, you're able to make money and your sheets can feel as nice. Get
paid still.
like Mr. Fab, but that's very important. So that's the cash flow quadrant. The key is get to the right side. Only 5% of the world is there. But if you get there, it's very rewarding. You can do what you want. And, when things like this happen in the world, like COVID, and you have a pandemic, you're not relying on the government to give you $2,000 a month because you have streams of income that are coming in, multiple streams of income that are coming in. So essentially, your life isn't over. They say one stream of income is too close to no stream of income. And I think that COVID was a wake-up call for a lot of people where it's like they were relying on just one job and then they realized that, wait, I'm not an essential service. I got to stay home, and now I got to depend on this $2,000 a month. But what if your mortgage is $3,500 a month? Then what? Where do I come up with the other 15? Where's that money actually coming from?
But then it also sucks that the economy is so expensive that it forces you to have to have multiple jobs or streams of income. Do you know what I mean?
Multiple streams of income isn't
They're
optional.
saying that
It's mandatory.
No, it is mandatory because that's the only, especially living in a city like Toronto, your rent alone is so much money. So for the average person, they do have multiple jobs. They have 2 jobs, right? Because even with normal 9 to 5s, they just can't pay you anymore unless you're in those luxury industries, maybe tech and stuff like that, and sciences.
Realistically, I think now is a great time for people to start exercising certain passions that they have.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, if
you got
you're
time on your hands, right?
If you're an artist, maybe start painting more. If you're a musician, maybe start recording more. So now start leveraging your passions a bit more.
For sure.
I have a passion for business. So me and my friends got together. We started an underwear company. Started as just a hobby.
Shout out to Topics.
Topic Wear, right? Topicwear.com.
I got wearing them right now.
All right.
That's a lot of information. Yeah.
You know, so we started this as a hobby.
Yeah.
And then as time progressed, it kept growing, kept growing. And then we partnered up with Serge Ibaka.
I see
We
that.
had a launch event,
Yeah.
CB24, City TV.
Yeah.
I'm here on the news, talking on the news. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was
Somebody sent me a press release about that, asking me to do an interview with Serge.
all right, well, we did it.
Thanks for not showing up. We really appreciate it.
No, I wasn't here for the event. I
Oh,
wasn't in
okay.
the city. Yeah,
Yeah, that was at STK, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
did it-
wasn't-
We did it in Yorkville, and then we went to STK after.
Okay, that was awesome,
Yeah.
and that was when the Raptors won. So that
It was great. Like
the
you couldn't
timing.
ask for
It was
better
great timing.
Yeah,
You couldn't ask
timing.
for better
Timing was
right?
perfect, and you got an amazing product. But that was a passion of
It was
yours.
a passion that I just
100%.
decided to try.
Well, I think we all listened to it when Steve Harvey said, "Don't chase after your passions, actually chase after your dreams,"
Exactly.
right? Because that's when you get to wake up and do the thing that you've always dreamed of, the thing that you love the most, and you're able to like make money and essentially flourish in that.
Then it's
And
not work. When you're doing what you love, it's not work.
No.
And it takes off so much like anxiety and stress, and it just makes your life so much better. But like even when you do tap into like interests or talents that you have that you don't think of anything, you don't know how you can monetize it. Everything is monetizable, but a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that.
Or believe.
No, or they don't believe it.
Speaking of multiple, sorry to cut you
It's okay.
about multiple streams of income. I remember growing up, my mom was always like, it's nice to have multiple streams of income. It was like a luxury back then. I think where we are right now, it's a necessity, right? So the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So if you're a millennial listening to this and you want to become a millionaire, that's your goal. You want to get to 7 streams.
AKA start working like a Jamaican.
I'm a few short, so I got work to do.
You got a couple more to go.
Yeah, I got a lot more. So for anybody out there that's really looking to buy their first property, are there any type of incentives? First buyer incentives?
So right now, the government just launched a first-time home buyer incentive. So essentially, what that means is they'll match your deposit or your down payment contribution. So if you need 5%, if you need 5%, the government will loan you 5% towards your down payment. So they will have a 5% stake in your property. I mean, on one end, it's a little weird. The government owns a bit of your house, but on the other end, if you have no options, or
That's a great way.
It helps you get into the market.
It helps you get into the market, right? So they have their own little requirements, but at the end of the day, it's about getting into the market. There's never a right time to buy real estate. Time to buy real estate is now.
The best time is now. The best time was yesterday, actually.
Exactly. So if you break it down, let's say the house is $300,000 and you borrow 5% from them, that's $15,000, and the house value goes up to $400,000. Now their stake is worth $20,000. So you give them back their 20, and you have that whole increase, that whole $80,000 to keep to the face. That's your money. That's
So you
real money,
eventually-
tax-free money.
So you eventually do have to pay them back once you get
so
it.
So the way it's said is that they will allow you 25 years to sell.
Okay.
You don't have to sell within that 25 years.
But you at least have to pay them back.
But eventually.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, your property would have appreciated so much more greater than what you owe them, that it's minuscule in the grand scheme of things. So people have to take advantage of certain opportunities. People say, I talk to people sometimes and they're telling me, oh yeah, I'm saving. Yeah, I'm at like 50 or I'm at 40. I'm saving to buy a crib. You can buy it now. There's programs, there's incentives that are out
That'll
there
help.
that will allow you to achieve that faster. Because the more you wait, the more expensive things get. So you're essentially it's like counterproductive. You're waiting, but things are going higher. So it's like you're not even benefiting from waiting.
So how much do you think that a first-time buyer should have saved for buying their first property
I'd say minimum 5-7%
of whatever the
of the
property
property
is?
value is.
Yeah. Because you got to take in consideration your closing costs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or we talked about that in the earlier episodes where...
And how much is the closing cost usually?
Like 1 to 1.5%.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Of your fees.
So it's
But
usually less than what you actually put down for your deposit.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
So
for
let's say you're buying a property for $300,000, budget anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for your closing costs, which will cover your land transfer tax, legal fees, and any other fees that are applied. But with first-time home buyers, you actually get a credit up to $4,000. So depending on where you're buying, that land transfer tax could cap at $4,000, or let's say your tax is $5,500, you're just paying that difference of $1,500. So that's the government's way of saying,
We're trying to bless
we're
you
trying to
with
bless
this.
you with a little 4
So
bands.
like the $4,000, these are two different two different things,
yeah,
right?
2 different things.
So those $4,000, do you have to pay that one back?
Nope, it's free bands. That is, it's an incentive that you don't have to. It's not a loan at all.
And then
it's
also with first time buyers, you don't have to pay like 20%, right?
No.
The minimum is like 5.
No. Yeah, minimum is 5% down. When you're a first-time home buyer, you have to utilize CMHC, so that's Canadian Housing Mortgage Corporation. So they essentially back you when you're approaching the government or you're approaching the bank for financing.
Okay.
So they'll say, okay, Alicia, yeah, okay, you don't have 20%, so but we looked at your employment, we looked at your credit, we trust you, we're gonna back you. That if you were to default, that we have your back. So your bank needs that stamp of approval. And that's all that you really need once you're below that 20%. Above 20%, it's like the bank saying, if you're giving us 20% and you mess this up, that's on you. You just gave us a whole bunch of money.
A whole bag.
So they don't need no insurance. They don't need no one to back you.
For sure. To make it very simple for people that may not understand, CMHC is pretty much just insurance. So the same way you get car and you have car insurance.
Yeah.
You know, when you're buying a property and you're not putting a lot of money down, you're only putting a little bit down, like 5%. The bank is saying, I don't know about you. You're only putting down 20, 30 grand. You know, I need someone to, you know, just in case you default and you're not able to make your payments, who is going to, you know, be, and that's where CMHC would step in.
Okay.
But like he said, when you're putting 20% down, you know, on a property that's, you know, 400,000, you know, they said, okay, that's, you know, it's good. It's good money.
Large lump sum, right?
Yeah, that's
there.
good. That's good money.
So they trust you a little bit.
They trust
more.
you. So if you're gonna walk away from 20%, not very many people are gonna do that. It takes a while to save up and build that down payment. So you're more invested. You got more skin in the game. So once you have that, you know, you don't have to do that. But with CMHC, there's small fees and stuff like that are applied, but they protect you, right? In the event that anything would happen. So it's always good to have that protection.
One last thing, the first time home buyer incentive, what makes it so great is if that property reduces in value, God forbid, like it's not going to happen. But let's say something crazy happened, worse than COVID, and all of a sudden like everything was just destroyed and that property reduced in value, you'd still only pay your percentage of that new value. So if you bought something for $300,000 and you bought 15 grand from them and it went down to $250,000, you wouldn't even owe them 15 grand. You'd owe them 12.5.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
what are the chances of that happening?
It's not happening.
I don't know, but
Probably not here, but,
Yeah, but-
shoot, you never know, right? It happened in Detroit, so
If that happens, then we all lose a lot. So,
right.
if prices go down,
Life-
that means
life-
we buying some more. You know,
Right?
we buy
Double
low,
down.
we buy low, and we sell high.
You gotta move differently.
100%.
Are there any other resources that people could look into, like do their little Googles on?
You know what a great tool is? The mortgage calculator.
Okay.
People underestimate that. You put in a little purchase price and you get back your figure. So now that you can assess your finances and see what things you can afford given your current rate of expenditures and that sort of thing. That's a great tool to utilize. And yeah, I mean, just even banks all have like their spending charts and all that stuff where you can calculate where you spend money. You'll be surprised how much money people probably spend on like Uber Eats. I know myself, I don't cook.
Yeah.
So that I'm guilty of that because I spend on Uber Eats every single day, probably like 60.
Slacking.
Yeah, probably
I got
60
meal.
bucks
I
a
don't
day.
cook either, but I got
Wow.
meal prep. I pay
Smart.
like 2 bills for the week. I get meal
Smart.
prep. So
Yeah, I'm getting raped right now. Boss, but
Yeah, no.
I gotta figure it out.
I've been looking at the Uber Eats like, I
have
will
so
go
much
to the
cheese now.
grocery.
You know
Yes,
what I
I'll
hate
go to the
about
grocery
it?
store.
I hate about Uber Eats is like your meal will be like $12, but by the time you check out,
It's like 24.
it's like
it doubled.
You got to pay the delivery fee,
Bruh.
then the Uber Eats fee.
They're
then
so
the,
bright. They have a small order fee.
And you still use them. That's crazy. You use them religiously. That's insane.
So if Uber wants me to keep using, you guys gotta sponsor
We
the
need
podcast.
to-
You know what I'm saying? Gotta
We
have
need
that
to
Uber
give
tag at the bottom.
Tweet like cooking lessons or something, or find him a meal prep.
Or
The
find
meal
him a
prep
wife.
service,
I
or
can't
that,
have it all.
or that. You have 3 options for yourself.
I can't have
the
it
wife
all.
might be the easiest option.
Wow, the wife. I feel like that's the hardest.
Think so?
Finding a wife or a husband. Yes, I don't trust anybody no more. Anyways, what's the book of the day, y'all?
At least has some trust issues.
Yes, I do. Like that's
She's
the
got her
most
heart broken a
complicated.
couple times.
Yes, hella.
The book of the day today, Think and Grow Rich. So essentially, this book is like almost like the Bible for investing. This book is going back to, I think, like the early 1900s. I
Probably
think
the 1800s.
No, this book is like literally, it is almost like the Bible of investing and money. And essentially it talks about, thinking rich and growing rich and the principles that you need to accomplish those things.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Highly recommended.
So that's by Napoleon Hill, if you don't know. And today's quote is, "He who works all day has no time to make money." And that's John D. Rockefeller, whose net worth is $340 billion.
Not M's. 340.
You ever been to New York, the Rockefeller Center?
Yeah, so Jay-Z, they named their rock. They
got long money too.
They do.
Because I was watching the CJ Walker, Madam CJ Walker documentary on Netflix,
and he was in there.
She lived next to Rockefeller, and that was like in the early, like late 1800s or whatever it was. So they got long money.
No, very, very, very long. But at the end of the day, that's the key. If you're working all day, you have no time to make money. So you have to be able to work smart, hustle smarter. Don't try to hustle harder and put the hours in. You got to just reshape your mindset and then make the right investments.
Yes, you got this. And that's another episode. I'm Alicia Ace West.
I'm Twee Estate.
Daniel King, a.k.a. King Sold.
And that's Millennials to Millionaires.
M2M.